All right, let's talk about designing family yearbooks. My favorite place to do this is adoramapics.com. They have exceptional quality for an excellent price. So click on photo books, hardcover photo books. I personally like the square 10 by 10 album for my family, and I'm going to click build it now. They have tons of beautiful, very minimalist designs, but I use the build your own. Your first step is going to be adding your photos. Now, if you followed my first tutorial, you'll have a folder that is only the photos you want to include in your family yearbook. So you can find that on your computer and select everything in it and wait for them to upload. Then click Return to Edit. I do not automatically fill my photos, so I click No here. So here's the design interface. It's pretty easy to figure out. At the bottom, you have your page spreads. On the left, you have your photos. You can add text. You can change your layout. You can add backgrounds, shapes. They have thousands of stickers if you want to get creative and artsy, but I keep mine so basic. So I'm going to start on page 1, and I'm going to select a layout that will allow me to have a title and some text. I like this one. You drag it onto the page. And then you can always add more text. So what I actually do is add a text box up here with the title of the month. So I start every section with the month title, a picture from that month, and then at the bottom I have room for text that's more basic text, and that would summarize everything that happens in the month. So let's jump over to photos. I'm going to pick a photo that kind of summarizes the month of January. If you double click, you can change how your photo fits in here, make sure everyone's faces are being shown. I'm actually going to extend this a little bit so we can see some more of that photo. There we go. And then I'll have to move this text underneath. I'll slide everything up actually. What I love about Adorama is you have total control over where you want to put text. You can put text over the photos if you want. It's just really easy to design everything. So I'm going to start every monthly page like this with the month, one picture from that month, and then I'm going to leave room at the bottom for my journaling that summarizes the month. Then the pages that follow are going to be collages. So if you come back to layouts, you can pick the number of photos you want. I am going to start with a collage and then drop in some more pictures from the month. Drop in these over here. Again, you can double click to make sure you get what you want in the frame. All right, that looks good. Now I'm going to go on to my next 2 pages. This is still January, so I'm going to pick another collage, drag it over onto the page, and then fill it with more photos. You'll notice if you have used the photos, it puts a 1 below it, so you can look for any photos that do not have a 1 on them and add them accordingly. All right, I'm going to do one more page. There's so many different layouts to pick from. If you have more photos you need to fit, you can go up to 5+ and you'll get so many different options if you have a lot of photos you need to fit. I'll try this one. Add the rest of the photos. There we go. That's everything from the month. Some things to note: if you ever need to undo anything, there's an undo button at the top. One other thing that's nice is if there's an event that maybe didn't make your monthly summary at the beginning in the journaling, you can drag the text right on top of your photo, drop it there, and then you can add text right on top that describes that event. And you can change it to be different colors too. There's really so much that you can customize here. My advice is to keep it as simple as possible so that you finish this project. I'm not actually going to add text. I just wanted you to see what that looked like. So there, that's it. Those are all my pictures from January. So that's the example of the beginning and the next one. Now I personally go through my whole book, add all of my pages, all of my pictures, and then I come back and I add the text to summarize each month. So that's kind of me and my batch working, where I like to kind of do everything in stages. So first stage is picking my photos, second is dropping in the pictures into the design, and then the third is adding my text. But it's up to you how you approach this. I'm not going to show you all the months. I just wanted to show you one as an example, but here's a trick that you do need to know. So now that I finished January, what I would do is come up here and hit the duplicate. So now I have an identical copy and I can drag it to the next spot and start there. So I don't need to rebuild my template if I want to use the same one every month. I would just change the title of the month right there, and then I would drag in different photos for that month. And I would do that for all 12 months of the year. So let me show you the final thing, the cover. You can click on the cover over here. Again, you have a ton of design options. I actually have a cover template that I've used for all of my family yearbooks over the years that I make in Photoshop. So I just update it there and then I drag it onto this page as a full-size photo. So if you want to make a cover that looks like mine, what I do is I take a vertical photo, I stretch it across most of the book cover, and then I change the background to black. You just drag the color right onto the back. And then I add text on the spine for the year. I make mine always the same font in bold, and I do it in white so it pops off the black. Then you can hit this little rotate till it says 90 degrees. Now, one cool thing about Adorama is you can position this wherever you want so that it's consistent with your other books. So I always have mine towards the bottom third. That actually looks like it might be a little too big to fit on the spine. I'm going to make mine smaller. And there we go. That's how I would design my cover. You can see they've marked lightly the areas that will fold over the book, so make sure you don't have any faces in that space. So the last thing I would do is then put the year on the front as well. I'm going to make this one black and keep it a bigger size like that. So wherever it shows up, it looks like it would show up pretty well right there. So there we go. Now we have a cover design. Before you print, you can click the preview button and flip through and make sure everything looks okay. So you can kind of page through and see what you think. On the right here, they'll have warnings for you if there's anything that you need to be aware of. Mine's telling me right now that I have a whole bunch of blank pages, so it's not ready to order. Now, one other thing I want to point out is you can work on this progressively over a year. So I could come in at the end of January, make my January pages and save, and then come back to my same project and keep working on it. I personally like to just make it all at once, but at least you have the option. This book automatically saves for you. So I'm going to call it my 2019 Family Yearbook. If you go back to adoramapix.com, I'll show you where you can come back to edit it. So they'll have on the top, they'll have my projects, but you can also access it on the right side here if you go to books and albums. So that'll bring you right back to this book that you've been making, and you can go to edit and jump right back in and make the rest of your pages. So that's it. I love Adorama Pix. I'm thrilled with their quality, and I hope that you enjoy them as well.